In everyone's childhood, we all had that one thing that we attached onto that was just indescribably fun. Maybe it was going on your bike and feeling the wind in your hair flow through. Maybe it was hanging out with a friend on that cool summer night and everything felt peaceful. Well, for me, it was just me, my blue painted room, and my Xbox 360 and Wii. You see, I didn't really have friends growing up. People kind of steered clear with me in the halls, and I wasn't really invited to any hangouts after school. Every day after school was just the same for me. I just go home, enjoy a very unhealthy snack, and boot up my console and enjoy my early evening through the nighttime with flickering blue screens and not doing my homework. I was a cool kid, what can I say? I'm not trying to make this a Dumarashi pity party where everyone feel bad for me, please, I had trauma. There was only one thing I had looking forward to after my long school days or my empty weekends, and that was just simply video games. As completely pathetic as this will sound, video games were my ultimate escape from how boring and sometimes just mean how my personal life was. So when I went to go play on my Xbox 360, there was a whole world for me to explore right then and there. Not to mention, I could meet hundreds of thousands of people online and make friends that way. The times were just simply amazing. But those times are just long gone. Video games nowadays don't have the same impact as games used to have back then. I can't find the same euphoria from booting up modern day shooters or single player experiences like Elden Ring. Maybe that's just the curse of being an adult now. I can't just sit down and stare at Kirby going on a grand adventure like I used to back in the day. I have bigger things to worry about or want to focus on, and things just aren't that fun anymore. You see, I would much rather just kind of sit down and kind of disassociate from reality than spend $70 on whatever game everyone on Twitter won't shut the f up about. Video games simply aren't just not the same anymore, and it's such a shame it's like that. There are many theories that come out about why we adults are feeling this fatigue of video games, and it's simply video games just aren't finished anymore. A solid 90% of modern AAA titles usually have huge day one patches, it's a carnival of bugs and glitches, and there's so many microtransactions and greediness, and a lot of companies that we grew up to love are actually discovered to be run by extremely terrible people that should not be running anything. Going back to Elden Ring for a second, this game is what games should always be. It's completed. Everything you need is right there from the start. You don't need any stupid microtransactions to get you through the game. You don't need millions of story expansions to get the full story. You don't need any of that. Everything you need to experience in Elden Ring is already there. So why am I even saying all this, you may ask? Well, it's just simple. Games like Elden Ring were exactly what the gaming scene used to look like back in early 2010s. Sure, the graphics back then weren't as elegant, but when the games came out, they were actually fully finished and usually not greedy for more money. These days were just so much more simpler. Let's say you get a brand new game for your Wii or Xbox 360 or the PS3. You unwrap the plastic off your case, you grab the disc out, you look inside for the instruction manual, you put it inside your console, and then boom, it was ready to be played right then and there. Right there. Sometimes it might be a small little update, but it didn't really take that long because they were just small little updates. That's all they were. And if you had pretty good internet speeds, it took almost zero time at all. Game nowadays go simply like this. You just buy a game, open up the case, grab the disc out of it. There's no instructional manual, so there's so much wasted space and wasted plastic. You place it in your console, and then you have to wait hours for some giant update to copy the disc onto the system and put in all the day one patches? What's the point of having the physical disc if I have to download the entire game files onto my system anyways? What's the point of the disc? It's just waste! A big chunk of that day you could have had playing the game, having so much fun, is wasted because you have to stare at a goddamn download screen. And sure, maybe they won't take super long if you have really fancy internet and Ethernet cords, but not everyone's so lucky like that. So let's go back to where this video all started. What was that one thing you loved so much as a young person? For me, it was this game. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is a first-person shooter developed by Treyarch and published by Activision. It was released on November 12th on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Microsoft Windows, and then later on the Wii U. This game was one of the few games I had in my young teenage years that just gave me unlimited dopamine. I'm not entirely sure how to describe my love for this game, but literally everything about it was just so goddamn perfect. At least for me. I got Black Ops 2 roughly around the time it first released. I was lucky enough to get it because that same year I got my Xbox 360 and my first ever game on that was Black Ops 1. When I started seeing trailers for Black Ops 2 that year, my hype was so damn high. I never seen a trailer with all the big actors and YouTubers that was just so damn exciting. I mean, there was FPS Russia and Robert Downey Jr. They were in the same ad. It was polarizing. In Black Ops 2, there are three major things you can do. You can play the single player campaign, enjoy the really intense multiplayer mode, and fight the Horde of the Undead in the classic zombie modes. This is what Call of Duty was all about. This is peak perfection. Going back to where this video originally started, this was back in the day when games were mostly fully completed when released. I don't recall Black Ops 2 having any issues when I got it. What this game had to offer was simply amazing to a young teenager like me. I remember the summer 2013 when all the DLC was releasing and the game was at its peak popularity. It was just such a beautiful and perfect time. I can't recall ever having more fun than that. I really can't. So in this video, we're going to talk about each of these modes I went to earlier. So I think I talked enough about all this. Let's finally dive into the game that ruled my young teenage years. Hello everybody. Real quick, I'm just going to interject. I'm cutting into this video real quick. Had to stop it, little timeout. Basically, I forgot to put this in my script. I don't know why, so we're just going to go over it real quick in this quick live action segment. So when Black Ops 2 released, there was also a special edition, the Hardened Edition. Now, usually I go over pretty briefly and be like, oh, you know, it came with this, came with that. Not much to say. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time. I have it right here in my hands. So you can clearly see we got Misty from Zombies and then a guy that is actually not the main character of the campaign. No idea who this is. But you open it inside, we get a good old instruction manual and we got a disc of the game. So that's pretty simple in itself. And then as well in here, we get this little paper thing. It doesn't come with a whole lot. It's very... I cannot get this out. It's fairly simple stuff. There's just 2 coins. That's all it is. So like, yeah, we get 2 commemorative coins. That's all it is. Coins. Will these be worth something someday? No. Wowee, like what is this? It's a Black Ops symbol that is never used anywhere in the actual game. Cool, and then what? One of the quad drones? Okay, yeah, and then as well it comes with, I believe, I'm probably wrong, it comes with Newtown 2025, I believe, and also maybe Newtown Zombies. I might be wrong with that, please put a note below if I am. But basically other than that, it was a really simple collector's edition. There's really not a whole lot here. I mean, it's literally just, I mean, Christ, look how small this box is. I mean, like, it's big, but it's like, there's nothing else inside. I didn't get this release day, however, I did not. I actually got this at a retro game store. They were selling this. This is the Xbox 360 version, so it's true to the one actually, you know, it's true to, I played Black Ops 2 in the Xbox 360. I got this for $30. This thing's been in existence for almost 10 years, and I got it for $30. I didn't bother looking up what the actual retail price is, so put it at the bottom real quick. I'm sure it's a whole lot bigger than 30. So that's it. That's my live action segment. Now I gotta put this stuff back and keep editing, so. All right, back to you, voiceover Dumarachi. Black Ops 2 campaign was absolutely revolutionary for the franchise. This was the first game to feature a branching storyline style of campaign. What this means is that throughout the game, there will be several integral moments where you have to make a choice or find something that will give you different endings and story moments. From something as huge as making a choice if someone should live or die, or finding a simple file in a burning cocaine lab, changes the entire outcome of the entire story. Not even kidding. And what's fantastic is that the only way to get the best ending in the game is having to do the most challenging things and make the most hardest of choices. I won't go over what happens in Black Ops 1 because I don't want to add more time to this video than needed, so just if you need to go familiarize yourself, well, A, go play the game yourself, it's really good. Or B, I'm sure there's like plenty of 8 to 12 minute long videos that go over the entire story, so just go do that, come back here, and let's begin our dive. We follow the son of Alex Mason named David Mason, who has a codename Section. He is a fancy Marine Army man thing. I don't really know what's going on in the future. The year is 2025, which is pretty scary now because the game came out in 2012 and now it's 2022. That's only 3 years away. Jesus, I'm getting old. The gosh dang army shows up at this big institution led by David Mason and his friendly friend Mike Harper. This place is known as the Vault, and it's where fan favorite Frank Woods is now spending his days as an old man in a wheelchair. We pay him a visit for information on a man named Raul Menendez, the game's main antagonist and the world's biggest terrorist at the moment. Everyone in this room knows who he is, but Harper needs to let you, the player, know. Woods shares that he visited recently and left behind this locket that is super important. You see, this Menendez guy is what we in the business like to call really bad news. Our main goal in this campaign is to take him out, but we need information on his past to learn what he's potentially doing here in the present. Frank Woods has dealt with him plenty in the past post the first Black Ops game, so now we can officially begin the flashback missions. So after receiving the pendant from Woods, David Mason gets a Cloud Strife PTSD flashbacks. Why did I put that in the script? That was so unfunny. We then return back to the past where Alex Mason and young 7-year-old David Mason is hanging out in Alaska. Mason's now retired from active duty. I mean, I would be too after being goddamn brainwashed by Russians, having schizo moments, and actually potentially killing JFK. I mean, that wasn't confirmed, but I'm pretty sure he did it. Regardless, he's enjoying chill time with David, if you can call it that, when he gets a visit from a giant-ass helicopter. David falls off the tree like a goddamn fool, and Mason tries to show some care like a good father, but David likes to go full emo mode.
Go back to the army, like you did when Mom died.
Man, daddy issues are really a powerful thing. Hudson shows up and asks Mason for some help on a mission. Apparently, Frank Woods has gone MIA at a mission in Angola. Mason honestly doesn't want to do it, but it's Frank Woods, he has to. This involves family. Sorry, this was just an awful joke. The script is awful. I should have just rewritten all this. Now this introduces how the missions will begin. You get this loadout screen that actually allows you to change what weapons you start out with. This is actually a really cool thing, because this helps you prevent using weapons that you don't really want to use, that most missions will start you out with. Like, I don't like this gun, get rid of it, I want to use this gun. But since obviously this is the beginning of the game, you're not going to really have much customization, but once you play through more missions and unlock some things, do challenges, whatever, you'll have a pretty good arsenal, so that by the end of the game, you can do whatever the hell you want, have fun. Not mentioned doing this is also a great way to replay the campaign, because you can revisit missions and use different weapons. Like, fantastic, absolutely genius. Hudson and Mason now head to Angola and join one Jonas Savimbi to fight in this group named the MPLA. Once you fight through a little bit, Savimbi does truly one of the most iconic moments in Call of Duty history.
Our journey to victory has begun! Death to the MPLA!
We gun our way through the MPLA forces and eventually rescue Woods from these meanie heads. We also run into this mysterious man right here. This is Menendez. That's right, this is him right here. He almost kills us, but we shoot him in the face and escape the exploding building. So he's probably dead, right? Probably. Once we escape the jungle with Woods, it's then revealed that Menendez was the man who was behind Woods' imprisonment and the murder of his entire team. With this information, we now begin a crusade against Menendez and his entire empire. This next part of the game is this complete clusterfuck of information. So Menendez's dad got killed by the CIA a long time ago, so that's why he hates America. Menendez is also behind a huge movement called Cortes Dia, which has over 1 billion followers, I guess? That's really crazy. I don't remember anything ever. That's a really big number. There's rare earth elements being controlled by China. There's all this stuff going on the screen. I just don't really know what's happening. This is crazy, all right? Just Menendez, bad guy. All right, that's all you need to know, bad guy. We then move on to a mission in Myanmar. Myanmar? This word right here. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. Section and Harper are about to infiltrate one of Menendez's bases here in this jungle. After some rock climbing and swinging, we reach this cliff to move on, but the tree comes down and almost kills us. This is where we're introduced to Salazar and then this guy named Crosby. We then wingsuit over and then begin our infiltration of the base. After some gunning down of the bad guys, we reach a hidden facility inside of a temple. Once inside, we discover a plethora of 3D printers making weapons of war, giving the sense that Menendez is definitely readying for something. You find a scientist man hiding, and he explains that he's producing something called Solarium that Menendez wants. Solarium is this rare earth element that apparently will make every single piece of modern technology obsolete. He explains that Menendez is planning to use it for a massive cyber attack with something named Karma, and if it's used, nothing can stop it. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't seem like a good thing. Anyways, he gets freaking killed and we extract the device to our good friend Admiral Briggs. We then return to wherever home base is. The section then goes to ask Salazar about Menendez and why he hates America so much. Salazar grew up in a country where he rose to power. Basically, his family lost everything monetarily and his sister Josefina got terribly injured in a fire. This caused him and his father to become drug lords and start cartels. Like explained before, CIA killed his father. Menendez began to grow his empire outside of his country in Afghanistan. We then cut back to Woods, who then explains that he and Mason did a mission to take out Menendez's gun running business right there in Afghanistan. So this is like one of my most least favorite missions, and this one feels like takes forever, so I'm just gonna breeze right through it. We take down a bunch of bad guys in desert. We join them in the Mujahideen. This word right here, I'm not even gonna bother. Around the end of the mission, we encounter this tank. We go up to go blow it up, but guess who's inside? None other than goddamn Kravchenko from Black Ops 1. Apparently he isn't dead, but I mean Woods isn't either, so I mean, is it really that big of a surprise? We then take him to this interrogation room to begin to question him. Mason during interrogation is seeing the numbers and constantly fights the urge to kill him. He then makes the bold claim that there were even CIA agents working for Menendez. Hudson claims that this is bullshit and Woods pops him in the face. Before we can move on, it turns out the guys that we were working with were actually part of Menendez's men as well. Double-crossing bastards. We were then left out to die in the desert, but luckily we were saved by none other than Reznov of all people. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's not Reznov because, you know, we're kind of frying in the desert, so we're not going to see things correct. It's at this point in the campaign where we are introduced to Strike Force missions. These are, in my honest opinion, the most underrated parts of the game. I don't see people talk about these enough. They're really fun. They don't take that long, but trust me, these are extremely integral to the story. Do them, alright? You wouldn't believe how important this is for the ending of the game. Moving on, we then return to Section and Harper doing some boxing and training their bodies in their minds. Section keeps seeing flashes of the night his dad died, which means at some point Alex Mason is indeed dead and Menendez is definitely involved. So not really the best way to reveal such information, but RIP to a real one. We love you, bud. We then go back in time once more where we know that Menendez and his main headquarters is in Nicaragua, with the assistance of the president there during time, Manuel Noriega. We then officially begin a operation to take down Menendez once and for all. We already know something's gonna go right because Menendez is still a free man walking in present time, but oh well, don't think about that fact, please. We then enter perspective of Menendez, who's chilling with his sister, Josefina. However, he gets interrupted by a knock on the door, and then people barge in. These are the people that are going to take Menendez away, and they also try to take away Josefina, who then they freak out because apparently she looks like a monster. Menendez goes into a freak out mode and then stabs the guy repeatedly, but then he gets sedated. He's eventually brought outside the village where Noriega is waiting, and uh-oh, shocker, he's actually a bad guy who wants to work with Menendez. Menendez is still pissed off about what happened to Josefina, so he goes and beats the shit out of him, and then goes on a huge murder spree to go save her. While all this is happening, Mason, Woods, and Hudson are moving in to take down his drug business. The drug farm gets burned down. We find some intel there that there actually is a mole in the CIA for Menendez, just like Kravchenko said. They got word that Menendez actually did escape, so he's probably headed to his sister. They all head that way and eventually meet up. Hudson tries to hold back Menendez, but Woods throws a grenade to take down Menendez in a rage for happening in Angola. This accidentally kills Josefina and apparently Menendez as well, but I mean obviously it's true because he's still alive. They take him away in a body bag and the mission is a success? Woods then claims that he's done talking to Section and we finally depart for him. We are now introduced to a new character known as DeFalco. This guy is Menendez's right-hand man. It is now time to learn about Menendez and this DeFalco. Before we depart for Pakistan, Section comes to the realization with his PTSD flashbacks that it could have been Menendez who killed his dad and not some random guy Woods talked about. I mean, yeah, I think that's a pretty fair bet to say. We then travel to Pakistan where Menendez is meeting people about weapons and we must spy on them with our fancy camera tech things. There's an in-game choice at the end of the mission that can lead to Harper being injured in the face, and can you believe that this is actually a very important detail to get to for the true ending? I don't really know why, but it is. We then meet up with Tian Zhao, a guy Alex Mason actually fought with in Afghanistan in the previous mission. After all that, it now comes time for one of my most favorite missions in the whole game. After some spying on Menendez and DeFalco, we discover that the location of Karma is now known. It's on Colossus, a giant luxury floating city thing in the Cayman Islands. We have to infiltrate the back room to see where this Karma is located. After some infiltrating, we discover that Karma is actually a woman named Chloe Lynch, who used to work for a pretty big government thing. We locate her in a place called Club Solar. We go inside and we get one of the most memorable moments of the game.
Chloe Lynch!
He's got hostages. Hold fire.
Chloe!
Salazar, take the shot.
No shot. Too many hostages.
5 seconds, Chloe! No!
No!
Open fire! Okay.
So DeFalco kidnaps Karma and then runs away. We need to go chase him down and get him before he leaves the island. Once you do that, you pop him in the back of his head with a sniper rifle, and boom, look at that. That was freaking sweet. Karma is now saved, DeFalco is dead, Menendez's empire now it's like a huge blow. Section then returns to see Woods about Menendez, and it's time for the final mission that takes place in the past. So apparently Menendez returned a year later with Noriega, and it's down to Alex Mason and Woods to do a snatch and grab for Noriega, so we can question him about Menendez and basically destroy his entire public reputation. We meet up with someone named McKnight who is going to help us take him down. We capture Noriega and Hudson and tells us that the plan is changing. We are now doing a prisoner exchange. The prisoner exchange begins and it is revealed that the man is Menendez. We kill Menendez and we let Noriega go free. This will probably go well. Menendez is brought out with a hood over his head and Woods takes a shot.
It's a direct order. Now shoot him in the fucking head.
What are you looking so smug about? The fuck is going on? What's going on here? No. Mason!
Fool.
You bastard! Menendez!
Now one more must die. You, Woods, or David. Make a decision now, or in 10 seconds you're all dead.
Woods, I can't. I have 2 kids. They...
Fuck! Okay, me! Do it! Do it! Your life will be consumed by absolute loss. Then and only then will you understand what you have done to me. I would not kill you, boy. Not like Woods. You will suffer with me. And then one day, you will see this pendant again. And you will remember everything you saw and felt tonight. You will remember all the years of anger and pain. And when you do, David, please, come to me.
Dad. No! Dad!
There's a reason I show these 2 scenes in their full, because it just shows the absolute greatness this campaign has. My words alone are not good enough to showcase how powerful the scenes really are. This game is so goddamn good. With all these revelations now known, the beginning of the climax can officially begin. Karma cracks down on Menendez's cyber attack plans and looks like he's going to attack both China and America using their own drones, taking down insane powerhouses of the world, causing mass war. And it's all happening tomorrow. We now go to Yemen, where we meet Isa Farid, who is one of Menendez's closest followers and closest confidants. I haven't really talked about him much, but basically he's just a guy on the inside. That's all you really need to know. We walk with Menendez to a big rally of his followers. The Americans begin to attack, and Menendez gets away to the Citadel. After reaching it, we are now thrust into one of the biggest choices of the game.
Buddy! American blood on your hands, Freddy.
Of course, Menendez. We must get you to safety. We have lost too many men.
Victory is not measured by losses.
Farid, are you still with me? We're hit! We're going down!
Again.
Damn it! Stop! Fuck!
Here! No! Oh, man! You knew that I would be here. Who betrayed me?
Wasting your time! Fucking bastard you! You won't get shit from me! Come on! Is that all you got? Huh?
Right! Kill it.
Yeah, that's it! Kill me, egghead! And you spineless piece of shit! Getting others to do your dirty work! What kind of man are you? Huh?
Show your loyalty by following my orders, Freddy.
Do it! Egghead! Do the job! Now, buddy! Do it, man! Come on!
Simply saying that this scene broke me is not enough justice. It just simply was not a good time, man. We continue to chase down Menendez to capture him. We eventually do find him and bring him to the USS Obama. It's now time to interrogate him about the upcoming cyber attack. After some talk, the carrier gets under attack from a mysterious plane. Menendez escapes from custody, where we must defend the boat from Menendez himself. Menendez breaks into a server room where Briggs, Karma, and Salazar are all inside. Menendez takes Briggs as a hostage, and Briggs tells Salazar to kill Menendez before it's too late. It's then revealed that, Salazar is actually a bad guy. Oh jeez, he kills some dudes and knocks Karma out. Man, what an ass. Menendez just shoots Briggs in the leg per Salazar's request, and the big hack now begins. He gains control over the entire United States fleet of drones, making him the most powerful man in the entire world. Menendez gets away and Salazar is taken to custody. We escaped the USS Obama, and it's now time for the last stretch of the game. I told the gameplay style at this point was mine, but unfortunately my game just kept crashing at this particular mission. I literally could not actually play it at all, so all the gameplay comes from this channel right here. Good job, it looks good. We are now with Madam President Bosworth flying over Los Angeles. She's on a call with the Chinese president about the drone attacks attacking the major cities. See, the United States and China are actually best friends right now because we actually took down Tian Zhao in the Strike Force missions. So because of that, China's cool with us and we're cool with China. See, I told you these missions were important. Section is now with her as extra security detail because he believes that she is a target for Menendez, which I mean is pretty fair, safe bet. Because guess what? Turns out he's right, because almost immediately after saying that, Menendez's followers take down her Beetle and we're now crashing to the ground. We fight through our ways through the streets to protect the president. Drones are goddamn everywhere and everything is just gone to shit. After a whole lot of fighting and flying and just craziness, we escort the president to safety. So now everyone figures out that Menendez was always planned to be caught to unleash the Solarium worm. They find that Menendez is hiding somewhere in Haiti, and there's almost no time left for the major cities to get completely wiped out by drones. It's time for the very last mission of the game. So we Fortnite drop into Haiti and we get the assault. I can't say that with a straight face. We then drop into Haiti and begin the assault on a drone factory compound place where Menendez is hiding. We get into a broadcast room where we find a signal earlier, but Menendez is now streaming himself from somewhere else. The drones are all ready to attack, but he instead self-destructs them all. So now China and US have no powerful drones to prevent a new attack that Menendez is going to want to unleash. He starts to blow up the building to cover his escape, but we fire our way through the explosions and actually reach him. It's now at this point we can make the final big decision in the game. We can either kill Menendez, take down this asshole that's been causing so many problems since the goddamn 80s, or we can risk it all and just simply capture him and risk the fact that he could do all this again. So let's just do the option that makes the most sense. we're gonna capture him. We hand him over and now the game is officially over. So if we did everything right, we should receive the best possible ending here. So I'm just not gonna say anything, and let me just show you what happens.
Do not enter. I swear to God, I will shove this wheelchair right up your
Ass. Hey, Woods. You look like hammered shit.
You stay right there. Mason, I shot you.
Turns out you're a lousy shot.
My ass. Where the fuck you been for 30 years?
Colonel Kurtz. Solarium worm attacking the electrical grid. Power stations, water distribution. It's every state. Oh wait, it's all over the world.
Get me the president.
Chill out, jerk off, I got it.
David Mason for Sergeant Woods.
Another Mason?
Oh, fuck. Secure the building.
Hey, kid.
Jesus,
Come on.
Frank.
Introduce you to somebody. Al, this is Dave. Dave.
How you doing?
This is your dad.
What the fuck?
Oh, you got a couple of fucking broads. Work this shit out on your own. Need some smokes. There's bat shit! Where's my smokes?
You still got that scar? You made me proud that day. I fell. Yeah. But you got back up.
Now, in my eyes, this wasn't handled perfectly. It was just really annoying to have these pauses in between the credits, but it ultimately doesn't really lead to anything great either. I mean, sure, it's wonderful that we got to see Alex is still alive, he reunited with Woods and his son, but we don't really get to see him talk that much or have a really wholesome scene. It's just there. I mean, it could have been worse, but I just wish it was longer, I guess. The last thing we see is Karma is on Jimmy Kimmel, and we also see Menendez is in a jail cell. He attacks a TV with his face and even licks his own blood. It's an interesting ending. It leaves you to think, is Menendez going to attack again? Well, we'll never know. This is considered the best ending we can get, as Alex Mason's still alive, the world doesn't enter World War III, Cortes Diaz dies, and Menendez is being held at maximum level. There are other endings that can happen, but bad things always will happen. If you do everything but kill Mason in that one mission, everything will happen as normal, but Woods and Section will visit his grave for an extra scene, and of course, they don't reunite. If you do everything like before but kill Menendez, Cortes Diaz followers will begin to riot all over the world and actually set fire to the White House, so that's probably not a good thing. The absolute worst ending that can happen, if you let Karma get killed, Alex get killed, take Menendez into custody, the cyber attack will actually happen, Menendez will be a free man, he will find Woods, he will kill him, and then he will find Josefina's grave, he will light himself on fire, and then kill himself. What the fuck just happened? Hey, so do you guys remember Crosby? Yeah, he was pretty cool. Anyways, what a goddamn story. There's a reason this is my favorite Call of Duty campaign of all time. The story is simply just perfect. It's airtight. Most Call of Duty campaigns nowadays have so much fluff and bullshit that nobody cares about. Like stories that can realistically take like 4 missions to complete, take like 9 to 15, and it's just so boring to sit through. But every single mission that happens in Black Ops 2 is needed, it's necessary, and it's fun, it's all fun. Black Ops 1 already had an amazing story that had great twists and turns, but Black Ops 2 takes it to a whole new level. The characters are all amazing. I love Section and Alex Mason. They're awesome. They're just so goddamn awesome. Frank Woods, such a huge badass. I still love him. Harper is such a great sidekick, and of course it killed me that you have to kill him to get the best ending. Raul Menendez is deadass one of the greatest villains I've ever experienced my entire life. He is so intimidating, and the fact that he actually is one step ahead of us always is perfect. That's just a great villain trait to have. And this game has no fan service or anything. Everything that happens in this moment that can be considered fan service is earned. You earned to see Mason and Woods reunite. You earned to see Mason and Section reunite. You earned everything that happens in this game because you went through all of this to make sure that the world still comes out a safe place. You deserve all that happiness at the end. Treyarch, you guys were absolute mad lads. The customization before each mission of the game makes it so much more replayable, and the fact that there are some weapons you can't even unlock throughout the missions you have to do challenges for makes replaying the campaign more exciting, because guess what? You can use fun weapons when you shouldn't be able to. In each mission, you can also find secret weapons like mortars and molotovs and access to drones. It's just awesome because the game rewards you for exploring. It's so goddamn top notch. I love it. I love this campaign so goddamn much. There is no denying when I say that this campaign is one of the best, if not the best campaign Call of Duty ever produced. Jolly good show. Good goddamn show. Time to talk about the multiplayer part of Black Ops 2. This mode is universally agreed upon as one of the best multiplayer experiences Call of Duty has ever produced, and most definitely some of Treyarch's best work. From the insanely wide option of weapon choices, to the great kill streaks, to the works towards the amazing maps that we all know and love. The whole multiplayer mode was just pure fun, even when I was losing most matches very harshly. Black Ops 2 multiplayer can be defined in one single word: balance. This experience was crafted so meticulously that every single aspect that went into it makes the whole experience just so balanced. Every weapon has its own little quirks that can be mastered, but not abused to make someone extremely overpowered. They sound incredible, and each weapon has this unique sound that you can instantly recognize it if you hear it. Not to mention, they all play so perfectly and differently from each other. And onto the kill streaks, they all have their own use and can be adapted to many different playstyles. And the maps are also built so damn perfectly where flow is constant and is able to separate all the players out nice and evenly. Almost. Just everything about this is just awesome. When you first open up the multiplayer mode, what do you get? Only some of the hardest music you've ever heard in your entire life. Once you actually enter it, you're given a plethora of things to do. You can go play a match, of course, but you can go customize your weapons, customize your player card. You can go to the theater and actually watch full recent matches you played and even edit them and make clips that you can upload online. This is a really cool thing which Call of Duty still did, because like, this is really neat. In your player card, you can create your own emblem that others will see in games. The amount of times I've seen emblems that look like these, oh boy, it was just way too much. People were really creative back then, weren't they? There's also these banners you can put on your player card to make the, more you. And with the DLC, they introduced these animated ones. Everyone knew you were a cool kid if you had the animated banner. The way you level up in this mode is through pure, simple XP gaming. Once you reach level 55, you can now gain a prestige. You do this all the way up to prestige 11, which is the wonderful master prestige. If you saw someone with this prestige in lobby, you just knew that they were one badass player you did not want to mess with. Or someone with just way too much free time, or a cheater. Gaining levels would take some time, but every now and then, Treyarch would do something called double XP weekend. It's exactly how it sounds. Every XP you get was doubled. These were my favorite weekends to look forward to. Done with school for the rest of the week, oh, got a whole bunch of homework, screw that. I can level up much more quicker in Black Ops 2. That's how I'm spending my weekend. Screw homework, screw family, friends, all that stuff. This was my life. Let's talk about weapons for a little bit, shall we? All the weapons and maps are from the future, so there aren't any of the old weapons you could use during the campaign. And that's kind of unfortunate, but it does make sense since we are futuristic soldiers. And the same applies for all the other types of guns in this game. Each class has its reasons for why you want to choose it. I mean, the assault rifles are average in power and range. The SMGs have lower power, but they have longer range. Shotguns have smaller range, of course, but massive power when you're close. LMGs have pretty bad accuracy, but I mean, it can shoot far and has huge power when it actually hits. And snipers have accurate marksmanship. It's all fantastic and it blends extremely well with everyone in the game. There really isn't a weapon that someone can choose and all of a sudden the game's just extremely unfair and unbalanced. Like, oh, of course, this guy has the Peacekeeper. Ugh, game ruined. You have nothing to be afraid of on the battlefield except for just the skills of your opponents. It's actually fair. This is one of those rare experiences you just don't find in today's modern games. I mean, everything's just unbalanced, pay to win, just everything's just bullshit. But back then, it used to be brilliant. We didn't even get into the attachments yet. These options are fantastic. I mean, look how it's all designed for you. There's so many different types of sights you can try and the little things that make your weapon better. See how easy it is to customize a gun? It's all right here in your loadout. You know exactly how many attachments you can have and you know exactly what's attached by the little images. It's all easy to see. Now let's go to Call of Duty's current title as of writing this, Call of Duty Vanguard.
That is one big pile of shit.
There's just too damn much going on here. I mean, sure, the customization is cool, but look how long it takes just to customize one gun. The fact you can customize every little thing about your gun on paper sounds cool. The time actually required to do it, it's not that worth it. And I mean, are you going to use all of these attachments eventually? In Black Ops 2, it's all just there for you. Choose what you want, and boom, you got it. You only have 3 slots to work with, but guess what? That is all you goddamn need. The kill streaks were such a huge part of the experience that getting them really made you feel like a king. The simple care packages where, you know, you throw out the smoke grenade and all of a sudden a care package drop, completely randomized. You might get something simple as a UAV or a goddamn swarm. I mean, who knows? It can be anything. That's the fun, and it's so cheap to get. What makes the score streaks even better is the fact that they don't make the game super unfair. I mean, yeah, that can be annoying, but every single one can be avoided. So let's say there's something in the sky. It's a giant ass helicopter mowing down enemies on the field. Well, guess what? You can just go run inside and they can't get you. There you go. Problem solved. If there's something that's roaming on the ground, like, you know, like some drones or, you know, someone on the field has a pretty powerful weapon, you can just, you know, go to another part of the map and completely avoid them. I mean, it's just that easy. If there's something stationary like a sentry gun or a guardian, well, you can just not be near it at all and it's not going to touch you. See, this game is still fair. Even though there's things that can be considered bullshit, there's plenty of solutions for you to avoid it. It's balanced, and I love it so much because of that. The maps in this game are also truly something else, with the absolutely legendary maps like Nuketown 2025, Hijacked Plaza, and everybody's favorite map in the whole world, Aftermath. Everyone loved that one, right? I mean, come on, guys. It really wasn't that bad. I mean, sure, it was huge for no goddamn reason. It made the games last longer. Ugh, okay, I get it. It wasn't that good. Aftermath is extremely large, so running into other opponents is actually not common at all, so games do last way longer than they should. But, you know, maybe there's some people out there that like the largeness of it, and, you know, that's okay. And that's what's fun about the maps. There's something for everybody, and that's awesome. Some maps have fun gimmicks that don't break the gameplay. The amount of maps that actually have gimmicks is really small. I mean, there's Express that, you know, has a train that occasionally run through the rail yard, and, you know, just have to avoid the train. Just don't get hit by it. I'm sure you can assume why I would have to say that. Cargo has these giant-ass storage containers that's being moved around in the middle of the map. Just make sure you don't get squished. And Hydro has this part of the map that occasionally gets filled with water, so, you know, don't get hit by it or you die. You see, that's all the gimmicks I can remember on the top of my head, and they're not that huge things that are going to hinder your matches. But it's these little things right here that just make the maps feel more alive. And each map feels different. From how they're routed, to the environments you go through, to the secret paths you can discover, there is something always fun to discover in them. They absolutely spent just a lot of time planning these maps out, and because of that, you can remember these maps extremely well. Because these aren't just boring, wide open maps that have nothing interesting going on inside of them, or there's nothing really to do. You know what you're going into when you see a map. They're not forgettable at all, and that's awesome. There is a ton of game modes to choose from. Of course, we have the classic 6v6 team deathmatch. Whoever wins the required amount of kills first wins. Super simple and its most popular game mode aside from Search and Destroy. More on that later, though. Then there was also free-for-all. It's exactly what it sounds. You against the entire lobby. First person to get the amount of the score, you know, wins the match. It was intense and brought the true animal in you. It was such a thrill. It was kill confirmed, which is also like team deathmatch, but in order to get points, you need to grab the enemy's dog tags when they die. But if you don't grab them, the point isn't counted. And the enemy team can actually take their fallen teammates' dog tags, and you don't get a point at all. Basically, you just killed that person, it meant absolutely nothing. It adds a little extra spice to team deathmatch, and I love it. Demolition requires a team to go and detonate a bomb placed somewhere on the map. The opposing team either has to defend the bomb or defuse the bombs when they're planted. If the bomb doesn't go off, the other team wins. If the bomb is detonated, then that team wins that round. It's pretty intense. Search and Destroy is just like Demolition, except that the team gets only one chance to detonate the bomb, and there are no respawns. A lot of people love this one. Capture the Flag is a classic game mode every single shooter needs to have. You go and capture the enemy's flag from their base, and you bring it home to get a point. Multi-team is an interesting one where instead of 2 teams, there are multiple teams going at it that can be at play, so it can get a little chaotic with how many enemies there are. Domination is where you gain points by holding objectives. The more objectives you hold, the more points you gain. Hardpoint is one of my actual personal favorites. The objective is to hold and gain points, and it changes around the entire map every now and then, so whoever has the most points wins. It's interesting and gets you moving around a lot and defending places. Headquarters is an interesting one as well. It's just like Hardpoint, but once the objective is captured, the team who captured it cannot respawn that round until the entire team either destroys the objective or the objective doesn't later on move on when the timer runs out. That's all really in the main modes, but there's also fun game modes called party games. These included Sticks and Stones, which is basically a team deathmatch, but you can only use crossbows, knives, and tomahawks, which is pretty interesting. Gun game is a fan favorite where everyone starts with the same starting weapon and everyone needs to kill in order to get a new weapon. And once you get it, you work your way all the way up to the final weapon, which is the weakest pistol in the game. And if you use your knife to kill an opponent, they actually lose a point and go back to what weapon they were before. This was really fun to watch in trolling videos back in the day. One of the chambers where you only have 1 bullet, and if you shoot someone, it will kill them instantly. However, if you miss, you have to melee them to get the kill, but you won't get your bullet back. You can only get another bullet if you actually shoot them. The last one is Sharpshooter. I don't remember many people playing this one, but it's basically a normal free-for-all where everyone gets a random weapons with random attachments every 45 seconds, and after each 45 seconds, everyone gets a new weapon that they have to use. It's honestly a fun way to learn new weapons. I wish that more people would have played it. It sounds kind of fun. Every now and then, Treyarch would have limited time modes that would give you extra EXP if you played them. These included, the Chaos Mosh Pit, which just randomized which game mode you actually play each match. Nuketown 2025 24/7 is where you would play random game modes, but always at Nuketown. Arms Race is where players would play a regular team deathmatch, but you get score streaks much more faster, making the game kind of more chaotic. The last one is One Flag, Capture the Flag, which was made permanent later. This is where there's only one flag that each team wants to go grab to go get points. It's usually in the center of the map, and boy, have I seen some crazy fights over that one flag. That's all the game modes, and man, they were just super fun. I mostly played team deathmatch, kill confirmed, with a bit of search and destroy every now and then. I'm just boring casual, what can I say? But hey, Hardpoint was fun. This truly was a game mode for every single type of player. I'm glad there was so much variety for every single game mode. To summarize my thoughts here for multiplayer, I just have to say that the experience you got from this mode was unreal back in the day. Every single map was absolutely just amazing. I wasn't a huge multiplayer guy back in the day. I really wasn't. I would mostly hang around in the cooperative modes, which we'll get to very soon, I promise, or play single player games because I had more fun with those. But Black Ops 2 multiplayer was able to win me over and put hundreds of hours into it because simply it was just fun. This was a huge deal to me because I didn't really get to experience a genuine multiplayer experience at this point. Black Ops 2 was the first time I was actually blown away by something like this. And I played a few Call of Duty games in my life, the games that came before this and after this title, and none of those titles had the same level of fun and enjoyment as Black Ops 2. I'm not really sure why or what happened, but Treyarch just struck gold and he took full advantage of the talents and skills they had available for this title. I really wish I could come back to this multiplayer to this day, but unfortunately that's not really possible, but we'll talk about that more in this video. One of the best things this game had, in my opinion, was the Zombies mode. Call of Duty Zombies at this point was always a fun time, and this was the mode people might have played the most. The stories were insanely compelling, and the gameplay was addictive and very well thought out. Black Ops 2 Zombies in the public eyes, well, it wasn't a 10 out of 10, but it definitely was not the worst experience out there for zombies. World at War and Black Ops 1 Zombies had its issue as well, and Black Ops 2 was no exception. We're going to go through every single map that this game has because there's a lot to talk about here. So let's get right into it. So Black Ops 2 came out with one major map, and that was Green Run. This includes many things to do, however. There was the main mode called Transit, and then there were the sub-maps that you can actually do in Transit. If you didn't want to go through the chaos that was Transit, you are more than likely hanging out in town for your games. But now let's just go and discuss Transit itself. So this is one of the biggest maps in zombie history, and it's sometimes regarded as one of the worst maps in zombie history. You begin in the bus depot and introduce all new characters. You can get to play as either fan favorite Misty, the nerd Marlton, the underrated Russman, and definitely everyone's favorite character, I swear, is Stuhlinger. Once you notice your surroundings, the games begin. You can have quick revive machine right there in this building, as well as a new mechanic in zombies, building equipment. You gather all the parts in the depot and you build the turbine. Using this will activate other equipment or things that need electricity to activate. So you can use this item on other perk machines if you don't have the power on yet. But the trick is this, however, the turbine must be activated by the perk machine for your perk to work. So if you get like double tap, whatever, you have to leave your turbine there in order to get it to work. Once the power is on, you don't need a turbine anymore, but I mean, it's really stupid. Like, if I drink a drink, why do I need the electricity for the drink to work. Once you get outside, you notice that the big bus is awaiting your arrival. Once you get on, you're greeted by everyone's favorite robot, the bus driver. There's really a whole lot to do at this depot, so you're just kind of waiting to get moving. Once the bus leaves, you have to deal with one of the main gimmicks of transit, defending yourself on the bus while you wait to arrive at the next destination. So you have to be careful of the zombies that are running behind the bus, because sometimes you have to jump onto the bus and then climb inside. So, you know, you gotta be really careful of your surroundings here. So the first place you arrive is this cafe area, which is actually a playable map later with DLC. Again, no one ever played it because it was boring. This is where the box is for the first time, as well as other things that will be important later, like the Galva Knuckles, the Riot Shield, and Speed Cola. Here's another thing about the bus. This thing is always going to move regardless if you're on it or not. If you don't get on the bus by the time it leaves, you are quite literally stranded here until it eventually returns. Once you leave here, you will be on your way to the next place, the farm. This is where you find double tap, a box location, and some other goodies. And that's it. This place serves like no actual purpose. I mean, there's a fridge. You can store your weapons in there and grab it whenever you want, but other than that, this place has zero purpose. Next up, you go to the power station. This is where you activate the power for the entire map, so all perks will finally turn on this late into the game. This is also where you build the electric trap if you ever want to use that for some reason. Another box location, and you find a tombstone perk if you really want to use that. I mean, this perk sucks. No one liked it. In this place, you also find this.
That is the scariest fucking thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
Near the entrance of the whole power station, you have to place your turbine here and to keep it running to access the Pack-a-Punch later. This can be extremely irritating, but it's worth for the long-term gameplay. After that, we go to the town where you can find a bank to deposit all your gamer coins, and you can use it actually in later games. Really cool mechanic. Pack-a-Punch is over here if you actually turn on, if the turbine stayed on, which is like a rarity. The Stamina perk is here, Juggernaut's here, another box location. This is town, alright? It's going to be the place you're probably going to spend most of your time in the late game. Once you get back on the bus, you slowly cross this bridge that dramatically breaks, but the bus somehow manages to cross every time. I don't know how, but it just does. You arrive at the back of the bus depot, and now you've seen all the maps. This map is indeed massive and hard to manage sometimes. There is so much I didn't go over on that initial trip because there's just so many things here. It's because of all these crazy extra things, people don't generally like this map. It can be extremely frustrated to do the big Easter egg by themselves, or even with friends, because there's just so much extra stuff to do that's not even worth it. So when you're on the bus, you may have noticed that you drive through some crazy thick fog, like it's a goddamn Stephen King novel or something. You would think that you're driving on the bus so you don't get your lost on your way to the next location, right? Well, that isn't necessarily true. You see, once you step through the fog, you are attacked by these freak abominations known as the denizens. These things can be shot at, but they're much more likely to attack your head and start attacking you by scratching your face and goddamn screaming in your ear. Yeah, I hate wearing headphones when I'm playing transit. These things can be killed quickly, but they dramatically slow your speed down, and yeah, going through the fog is never fun because of them. The game never really explains what they are, or like how they came to be in existence. Maybe that's for the best, I don't know. I like to forget they ever even exist. There's not really many reasons to go inside the fog anyways. You may be asking yourself, well, why would I even go to the fog if these things are just going to endlessly attack me? I mean, there's like no point, right? Well, there are some things that you can do in the foggy areas. Some are important, some aren't. For instance, when first leaving the bus depot, you can enter this tunnel where the bus dramatically slows down. Yeah, I wonder why. You can leave the bus and go grab a piece for a wonder weapon and actually a wall weapon, the AK-74U, if you ever want to use that for some reason. You can also find other locations that the bus won't take you to, like this pylon that's needed for the giant Easter egg of the map. There's this cabin that holds a mystery item and the Bowie knife. And even the legendary Nocturne Totem is actually here, where another item is held for you to grab. So obviously this isn't the real Nocturne Totem from World of War, because that was like in Germany or something. But it's kind of cool that this is here. It's a fun little Easter egg. One more thing you can do is that if you have a denizen about to attack you, you can actually bring him to a street light, and it actually causes them to dig a hole and somehow create a portal to a different location in the map. So the bus is absolutely the most important tool in the transit map. With that said, you can actually upgrade the bus by finding items. Throughout transit, you're greeted with new things you can build to help survive longer and activate certain things. We already discussed the turbine, so I need to bring that back, but there's so many more. There's also the riot shield, so you can defend yourself from zombies and defend your back from zombies. There's the turret, the electric trap. The Pack-a-Punch machine itself is a buildable, because that's a great idea. I think everyone in transit generally didn't use the buildables due to it taking a long ass time to actually build them, and the fact that you kind of need a turbine to do a whole lot of stuff. So I mean, you can only hold one item at once, so you're probably just going to hold the turbine. I don't really hear much people talking about a lot of these buildables. I only hear people talk about the turbine or the riot shield. Those are the only buildables people actually ever use, because everything else took too long or just wasn't really useful at all. So those mysterious parts we were talking about earlier are what needed to build what's called the jet gun, the best and worst thing about this map. So here's the deal, right? You go all over the map. It takes forever to build this thing. Once you build it, it's this giant ass gun that obliterates all the zombies in front of you almost instantly. And then it breaks. So you think to yourself, okay, like, what, we have to reassemble it or something? Is like a cooldown? No. it disassembles itself and you have to travel all over the map again to reassemble it. It lasts like 10 seconds. It's not worth your time. There's just so much stuff in this map, but in the end, it's all just not that worth it. I mean, it's a great beginning map for people who just got in the game or experiencing zombies for the first time. Like, I love Transit. I think it's fun sometimes, but it's like, compared to the other maps we're gonna discuss later, this thing is mid as shit. No one really enjoyed how big the map is, because it's like, yeah, sure, it's a cool big map, but like 70% of the map is under fog, and it's like, what's the point of even exploring it? It's just grass, just dirt, it's just lava, it's just stupidness. There's no point to how huge this map is. And there's so much goddamn lava! And why is the pack-a-punch like this? Why do I have to build it? Why do I have to place a turbine by a door in a separate map that zombies are gonna go attack? So by the time I get to the goddamn door where the pack-a-punch is, the door is gonna be closed because the goddamn turbine is gone! Who the fuck thought of this? It seems like the developers want to make the map challenging and different, but instead it's just so stupid and irritating. This doesn't mean that the maps is not worth your time, but it's like, there's other maps you can go play. Go play them. Literally, once all the DLC came out, no one was playing Transit anymore in the online multiplayer. It was literally dead as shit. No one liked it anymore. It was stupid. By the time the last DLC came out, the number of people playing Transit was in the double digits. I'm not even kidding. I vividly remember seeing that small ass number of people playing Transit. It's not because other people were playing the new map. There's still a solid amount of people playing the other maps too. Transit was just stupid and people wanted to move on from it. It was just not fun at all. Let's say you're having some bad luck with the box, right? You're getting some shit weapons and the box leaves you. So, okay, what am I supposed to do now? You have no idea what the hell it could be. You can't look up in the sky and go see where it's at. It's how thick the fog is. And you can't just go run to it because you gotta wait for the goddamn bus. You can't just run through the fog because the goddamn denizens are gonna attack you. You can't just, you have to wait. There's so much patience required in this map, but it's not fucking worth it. You're just stuck at the cafe, and then guess what? Guess where the box could have been? It could have spawned all the way back at the bus depot. So you have to wait for the bus to travel all the way around the map to come back to you. Then you gotta get on the bus to travel all the way around the map. That's gonna take like 13 minutes. And then once you finally get to the bus depot, then you have to try your luck again. And then once the bus leaves, guess what? You're stuck there again. And once the box leaves, you have no idea where it's gonna be at. You can't just go walk to it. It's so stupid. And you want to know why the fog and the denizens are here? Well, guess what? It's a developmental thing. Here's the deal. On the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, the console could only handle so much at a time. And Transit was really ambitious. They put the fog in so the game actually only renders in what is only necessary. Oh, just make it smaller. Was it worth it? Was it really worth it? This is the map that I really do look fondly upon in the past, but right now, I don't want to play Transit ever again. It's so dumb. You get it? You're just so dumb. You'll always have a special place in my heart, but Transit, you fucking suck. Alright, next up, we have Die Rise. This came out over 3 months after the game's release, and needless to say, people were desperately needing new zombies content because Transit was so goddamn bad. People legit went back to Black Ops 1 and World of War because the maps over there were better. I'm not even kidding. So on January 29, 2013, the first major DLC pack named Revolution released to the masses. The new zombies map was called Die Rise, and it was quite interesting to play. Die Rise is also considered to be one of the worst zombie maps of all time, however, which is really unfortunate because I actually do kind of like this map a little bit. So it kind of sucks. Black Ops 2 is going 0-2 on zombie maps right now, so that's rough. So Die Rise takes place on 2 giant skyscrapers in Shanghai. This is the first map where instead of moving all over the place in wide spaces, you're actually moving up and down on stories. So instead of going horizontally all over the place, you're going vertically, which is pretty interesting. You get to go through so many rooms, all vary in design and size. You're going all over the place. You're in like these upside down rooms, you're in restaurants, you're in these endless laundromat halls, you're on rooftops. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of the stuff you see here. And with all these different paths to take, it makes the game much more interesting to play each time because there's so many different paths you can take to go find out where all the perks are and explore. It's really much more interesting than what Transit was. One way traversing it through is through the elevators that are somehow still working, even though like buildings are all messed up to hell. But hey, I guess the elevators still work, so that's good. They always work. They don't break down. These elevators right here are your main way of moving through the buildings. But silly for you for thinking you're actually riding the elevator. You're actually riding the very top of the elevator. The actual inside of the elevators have the perk machines in them. It's a unique way of traveling, but sometimes it can be very slow. If you aren't using the elevators, you're doing a lot of jumping between floors of the 2 buildings to make your movements around the map. Buildables are back once more in this map, but not to the extent like in Transit. There are only 2 you can really build, and trust me, they're really the only ones you're ever going to need. So they've newly introduced Trample Steam, and the new wonder weapon is Slickifier. The Trample Steam is a self-powered piece of machinery that will fling any zombie that steps on it, instantly killing them. They don't last super long, but they're extremely useful when bunkering down somewhere and doing these special rounds. The Slickifier is a gun where you shoot at the ground or at zombies, a purple liquid comes out and makes the ground extremely slippery for the players and zombies. It will also kill groups of zombies when shot directly at it. It can only be held by 1 player at a time, so if this player loses the gun, it will appear in the mystery box at a later time. So, I mean, it's a wonder weapon, so I guess that makes sense. So you may have noticed that back in Transit, there was no Hellhounds at all, like back in Black Ops 1. And guess what? There's no Hellhounds here either. But instead, every 5 to 7 rounds, you'll be dealing with these jumping freaks. These things can be kind of hard to shoot because they jump over the goddamn place, but guess what? Just use the Trample Steam and bunker down like I said before. Trust me, it works. So if you don't shoot 1 bullet and kill all the jumping things just with solely Trample Steam or your melee weapons, you can actually get a random free perk. So that's a good way to build up your collection. These free perks are extremely easy to get if you use the Trample Steam trick. So why don't people enjoy this map? Well, let's go over the major points that are always brought up by everybody. People don't really like the verticality of the map, which is weird because it's different. It's a good kind of different. But I guess people don't really like going up and down and jumping around between buildings because guess what? There's a lot of fall damage. So like the Slickifier is a pretty cool weapon in any other fucking map. As previously stated, that makes the floor all slippery. You need to be very careful because guess what? If you slip on this thing and fall out one of the many damaged windows or fall off a building, you're dead and you can't even control it. Like even if you just touch 1 simple pixel of the affected area, you're gonna slide over the goddamn place. Why would they put this weapon in this map? They literally did that on purpose. You know that. So remember those perk machines that are only available in random elevator shafts? So instead of having all the perks readily available for you, you have to wait for the elevator to be on the floor that you are on. Every single perk in this map will be in these elevators. There's not 1 perk that isn't inside of an elevator. Not 1. Quick Revive is in an elevator, and you have to wait for that. Not to mention that they are randomized every single match. The perk machines will stay in the general area that they're at, but in the elevator, it's completely random where they could be at. And like, yeah, it could be kind of exciting for not knowing where the perks exactly are, but it's like, it can be a little stressful because you're like, I need to go get Quick Revive or I need to go get Juggernog. I have no idea where the fuck it's at. Yeah, and let's talk about Pack-a-Punch for a second, shall we? Before you spend your gamer points on this perk, it can move away. Remember that. I cannot tell you how many times I was screwed over by Pack-a-Punch in these elevators. So if you have a gun you want to upgrade, you will just put in the machine, right? But if the goddamn elevator moves, guess what? You are not getting that weapon back because there's no way you're making it in time. Why is that a feature? I don't know. I don't get it. That's kind of stupid. So amazing job, team. That was a good design choice. I can't tell you how many times I accidentally lost guns because the elevator moved. Yeah, and also let's keep talking about perks for a second. Yeah, look at this one right here. Who's who? Let me talk to you about this one. The idea of this perk is not really that bad of an idea. If you get taken down by zombies, you'll become this ghost thing that will randomly spawn somewhere, and you must rush to get back to your body. Once you come back, you'll get all your points, weapons, and even perks back. So it sounds like a better Quick Revive, right? Well, there's like a terrible catch that makes this perk instantly not worth it. So here's the deal. You are not invincible. The zombies can still attack you. And worst of all, you have no means to defend yourself because you are stuck with the starting pistol and you don't have your perks to help you. You only have a limited amount of time to get back to your body, and the fact that the zombies will still pile onto your ghost body and you can't fight back is insane. You will be extremely lucky enough to get back to your body if the zombie count is low and if you're strategic enough. Whose fucking idea was this? You guys wanna know what else is dumb? These keys. So you can find these elevator keys hanging out somewhere. So once you pick up one of these keys, it takes up an entire item slot in your inventory, and you can only use these keys once. What does this key do? Well, you go up to the elevator, and whatever elevator that is will instantly come to where you're at. It sounds fine, but it's a one-use thing, and they don't respawn. So if you're in such a goddamn hurry to get Juggernog or something, you can just summon it to wherever floor you're on. But it's so stupid, because why is this one small key taking up my entire inventory? Does that make sense to you? Does it really make sense to you? And these elevators too are so goddamn annoying because they take forever to move. Like they will take forever to come down to your floor. And once they finally are on your floor, you're inside the elevator, standing there, hoping that the zombies are not gonna pile all on you and kill you. Because the elevators, they take goddamn forever to move. So building the trample steam is one of the most annoying things in the entire game because guess what? You have to keep waiting for these goddamn elevators because you have no other choice. What else are you supposed to do? You have to wait. There's so much waiting. So guess what? The mystery box has only 3 box spawn points in the entire map. You traverse 2 giant skyscrapers, and they only bothered to make 3 box spawn points. And you know what's even more insane? Is where they're actually placed. Why would they put 2 box points right by each other? Like, you couldn't have spread it out more? There's like 40 million different rooms you could have put it in. What more can I say about Die Rise other than it's a definite mixed bag when it comes to the zombies community. Some saw it as a fun map where all this craziness comes together and you can have a lot of fun with your friends, but others saw it as just being nothing but full of flaws and just being really, really annoying. The major flaw in my eyes is the fact that there's no clear objective or really things to do. Like, yeah, the Easter egg in this map is pretty alright, but like, it's not even really that interesting when you actually do it. It's boring, there's not really a whole lot to do in Die Rise. It's just, I love it a lot, but it's like, there's a lot of stupid things that happen in this map. Alright, let's get to one of the good ones. Mob of the Dead released with the second DLC pack Uprising on April 16, 2013. This is considered one of the greatest zombie maps of all time. So yeah, it's kind of crazy that it went from 2 shit maps to absolute peak perfection. I was really excited at this one because I found this setting of Alcatraz Island to be really fascinating, and to be able to explore it while fighting the hordes of the undead as a gangster was really cool. There was just one simple issue in my life. I never got to play it. So when Uprising released, I was a simple jobless child and I was relying on my parents to buy me these DLC packs during the time. I was absolutely heartbroken, but then I saw an angel in the sky. He came down and was like, "Relax, my child. The Uprising 2-week free trial." And I was like, what? So anyone who didn't have the DLC could download everything for free for 2 weeks. Meaning I got to grind out Mob of the Dead nonstop for 2 weeks straight, because who knew when I could finally get my hands on this DLC. This DLC pack was the one I never actually bought for a long time. It wasn't until like September 2019 that I actually finally bought it. It took me over 6 years to finally buy it. Needless to say, this is one of the maps I had the littlest experience with, but I really do enjoy this one. I thought it'd be excruciatingly difficult and cryptic like Transit was, but it's actually really not. So in this map, you play as 4 new characters who are stuck in Alcatraz prison in 1933. These characters don't return again, but they're some of the funniest characters you'll ever see in zombies history. So you're introduced to these 4 breaking out of their cells and begin their escape plan. Before they can escape, the zombies arrive and the prison begins to warp into this hellish version of Alcatraz. Which is weird to say because Alcatraz was already hell on earth before, but you know, you get what I'm saying. So somehow, some way, these 4 got transported to Purgatory essentially, which explains why the prison looks so weird. This is regarded as one of the best maps in stories in zombies history solely because of the fact of one thing. You know what you have to do when you first start. When you first boot up Transit, you have no clue what the main mission is or how to get the Easter egg completed. Same goes for Die Rise. You're thrust into these new maps and you're like, oh, I guess I'm just here. I'll just go figure it out, I guess. In Mob of the Dead, you have one thing to do and one thing only. Escape this island. There are many hints of how you're supposed to do this throughout the story. There's maps in places, the characters talk. There are so many things that are thrown at you to help you on this journey. The John Lennon killers that they're wielding in the beginning cutscene are not enough to fight off the dozens of zombies coming after them, and they all eventually get killed. Once the cutscene ends, we begin the game with this very new gimmick called the Afterlife. You now get a brief glimpse of what this will be like because it's heavily used throughout the entire map. You revive the character you get to play as, and then boom, the round begins. Afterlife replaces Quick Revive, and it's basically what Who's Who should have been. You only have 3 uses of this ability, with gaining 1 back each time with each passing round. So when you get down, instead of being game over, you have a chance to clear the zombies out of your way, come back to life, and then keep moving. While you're in the Afterlife, you have the powers of Eneru, and you get to travel through these magic walls to activate power switches, turn on perks, do certain things, progress the story of the map, and there's a whole lot of things you have to do with this. Speaking of perks, Mob of the Dead has some of the best extra perks, and I'm really upset don't show up more often. There is Deadshot Daiquiri and Electric Cherry. There's just so much to do in this map, and it's incredible, and it's not really that overwhelming. So in order to escape the prison, you have to explore every single aspect of this place. No room goes left untouched, and nothing goes to waste. This is a problem that was very apparent in the likes of Die Rise and Transit. There were just so many places you can explore, but ultimately serve no purpose. Here in Mob of the Dead, every single room has a purpose that you need to go to. Like, you need to go to the laundry rooms, you go to the sewer boys things, Citadel, whatever it's called. You have to go to the rooftop, you have to go to the infirmary, you have to go to the jail cells. You have to go to every single place if you want to get to the ending of this map. You have to. That's what makes this map so goddamn good. And while you're doing this, you get to explore all the perks, you get to find all the extra items, all these extra goodies, and you get to make it to the high rounds. It's just such a goddamn good time. Once you assemble the plane on the top of the roof, you travel to the Golden State Bridge just to crash and realize that it's told right in front of you. There is no escape. Pack-a-Punch is available here and ready for you to use. Once you're able to leave, you have to use the electric chairs to restart the cycle. You still have all your guns and perks, but you're back inside the prison. With friends, it doesn't take a super long time to get the plane assembled, but solo it can be a tiny bit of a challenge. It's not too hard, but it can be stressful if you don't have a plan in mind and some good weapons. The weapons in this map are probably the best assortment of weapons you can ever possibly dream of. The wall weapons aren't too shabby, but what you can get out of the box or grab in the prison are just so damn great. The most noble weapons you can get from the box is the Blundergat, an insane combination of a blunderbuss and a Gatling gun. Yeah, I just said that. This is one of the most powerful weapons you can get, but it can be upgraded not once, but twice. You can find pieces around the prison to build the Acid Gat kit. It sounds exactly what you think. You put the Blundergat inside, it becomes the Acid Gat, and can now shoot volatile acid. You can then pack-a-punch that, and it becomes the Vitrolic Withering. That's one of the greatest names I've ever heard in my entire life. It's a crazy good weapon, and yeah, if you have that thing, you're lasting a very long time. Another crazy weapon you can get is the Hell's Retriever. This is a flaming demonic tomahawk that homes in on nearby enemies and kills them very fastly. It will return to you, and you can use it again after a cooldown. After doing some very simple steps of upgrading, you can get the Hell's Redeemer, which is much more powerful and now harnesses lightning. Not only are the weapons you build incredible, the traps you can use in certain areas to bunker down in are just impeccable, man. This is the first time that traps like these have been used since Ascension and Black Ops 1, which was a very long time ago, by the way. These traps don't cost a whole lot, and they're very used for thinning down hordes. The fan trap, the acid trap, the very cool sniper in the tower trap, they're all so goddamn fun. In case of buildables, Mob of the Dead is actually very lacking in it, which is like fine, honestly, because let's be real here. Are you really going to use every single piece of equipment when all these cool things already exist? I mean, like, the only thing that are craftable here is the Acid Gat kit and the zombie shield. I mean, once you have that, you're fine. You're alright, you're gonna last a long time. Hellhounds and the jumping things are gone from this map, but instead we get one of the best mini bosses in zombie history. Brutus. This guy takes a good amount of shots to take down, but he can give you a lot of gamer points, but you gotta be careful of him, because he can actually destroy and disable perks, and it costs 2,000 gamer points to return them to working order. It can be really annoying, but it adds to the chaos, and it's awesome. There's not really much more I can say about this map other than it's incredible. There's not really a whole lot of negatives to it. It's just quite literally perfect. Like, I can't believe like they went 0 to 2 and then all of a sudden, boom, perfection. I really wish I got to experience this map more when it first came out. I'm sure I would have loved it more. This map is just one of the most engaging maps you'll ever play in your entire life. The sheer size of this map and the amount of things you can do is so satisfying. There isn't a dull moment. There isn't a moment you're gonna go like, well, what do I do now? The fun simply does not end. That's what makes Mob of the Dead so damn special. And if I'm ever in the mood for some classic Black Ops 2 zombies, this map will probably be one of the first ones I choose. Never sleep on this map, my fellas. Never do. Barry released with the third DLC pack, Vengeance, on August 1st, 2013, and holds the major ending to the story of the Black Ops Zombies storyline for this time. This is one of my definite favorites because I remember having the most amount of fun with this map when playing online. There's something so magical about Barry that it's kind of hard to put into words. I remember everyone loving the hell out of it when it first came out, and I mean, I did too. So we finally returned back to our Green Run group where they find where they need to be to bring the story to an end. So we are now somewhere at this mining rig that deals with rocks. Once we fall into this giant hole called the Rift, upon entering we get this wide scope of what we will have to see. We see this town plaza with a few buildings right in front of us, and we also get a chance to see what lies ahead. Big church, a courtyard, and a mysterious house. Exploration begins when you see when you are greeted by this very tall individual that doesn't have a name. But the Phantom has basically united and called him Leroy for reasons you will see very soon. We free him from his cell and give him a little of the good stuff. He then will run to the direction you are facing and also give you some gamer points as well. Leroy is your key to basically getting around the whole section of the town. He is extremely useful for a certain situation. You can feed him candy and he will do many things for you. From fighting zombies with you, build the equipment for you, lock the mystery box in place so we never get the teddy bear again, hold a crawler for you so it doesn't die or, you know, it doesn't try to attack you. It can even change a power up. There's a whole bunch of usefulness that Leroy can do, and it's crazy. There isn't really anything crazy that happens when we give him the alcohol, however. He just simply rushes in the direction you send him. Whenever he doesn't do anything, he's just basically walking around town for the entire game. I wish I could give him a gun or something, just have him start blasting zombies with me like the broskies we are. The weapons in this map are pretty good, but not the best. There are great new weapons you can use, but compared to Mob of the Dead, it just doesn't shine as bright. Buried brought into the world a brand new ray gun, the Ray Gun Mark II. No longer we have to worry about splash damage. No longer we have to worry about the distance. With the Ray Gun Mark II, you have more damage, more ammo, better design, and best of all, no splash damage. It's all wonderful. The best part about the Mark II is that once you have the DLC pack installed, you can find this weapon in any mystery box in every single map on Black Ops 2. Also making its debut was a map-exclusive Remington new armored pistol. I always love these old-timey revolver pistols, so finally being able to use one in a Call of Duty's Zombies map was just so damn cool. It's definitely the best pistol to use. It's very powerful and it lasts a long time. The last major weapon to be added is a new wonder weapon known as the Paralyzer. Man, let me tell you, this weapon is insane. Shooting this weapon emits like an energy field thing that slows the zombies down right in front of you. With the next exposure, the zombies eventually just combust. It's called a paralyzer because if you shoot enough, it actually removes the legs first, making them to crawl. The weapon also has the capability to make you float around. That sounds crazy, but yes, it can. You set the point down and you start levitating, you can move around the map without touching the ground. This can help you save time by avoiding barriers you need to break with Leroy. Only one player can have it at a time in the map, but it's very necessary for reaching the higher rounds in my opinion. It's really, really important to have it. With all that said, I gotta say the new weapons are really damn fun. Having a new weapon that can be found in other maps also is a great thing, and I wish it happened more often in Call of Duty. There are a good amount of gimmicks in this map that makes it fun every single time. When you first reach the underground, you may notice this question mark on the wall, and then a chalk drawing of the Remington shotgun. In this map, you actually get to draw the wall weapons on the walls, and you get free points for doing it. This is actually a really neat idea, because not only does it give you bonus points, it helps you remember where certain wall weapons are in case you need them. As stated before, Leroy can build equipment in this map by giving him candy by a workbench. The trick is that Leroy will build whatever he finds first. He'll always build a turbine first, but after that it could be the trample steam and the new additions of the map. The head chopper, my personal favorite, the subsurface resonator, aka
my base cannon!
The head chopper is exactly what it sounds like, but it's much more than that. You place it on the wall and it constantly chops away until it breaks. If you place it high enough to actually chop off zombies' heads, or you can place it low and chop off their legs, making them crawlers. Man, this thing's actually really useful. What I think is even more useful, however, it's a resonator. This thing destroys hordes of zombies instantly. When you get it powered up with the turbine, it'll automatically kill any zombie that it gets in its range. Even if there are over 30 zombies in a single horde, it blasts them all away and kills them instantly. A new piece of equipment you can find in the mystery box is the new time bomb. Basically, when you place it down somewhere, it will save everything at that exact moment. And whenever you want, you can activate the time bomb and return to that exact moment whenever you're ready. It can be extremely useful if everything has gone to shit and you want to restart before your demise. And it's also really great for trolling. And I watched a lot of videos of these time bombs being used, and I've never heard people scream louder. There's only one new perk to get, and it isn't necessarily needed but useful. It is Vulture Aid, and when it's concerned, it shows the location of every perk, the location of the mystery box, wall weapon items, and makes zombies easier to see. There's also a chance that killed zombies will drop a green gas, and when you step inside, you will not be attacked by any zombies for a short period of time, kind of like a precursor to zombie blood later. The last thing that can happen is that killed zombies will have a chance of dropping some ammo and even extra gamer points. It's a very useful perk, but keep in mind you can only keep 4 at a time, so you're still going to want the essentials. So let's finally talk about that mysterious house, since that's the end. This is the most important place to enter when you're playing this map. Once you open all the doors, all the zombies will stop attacking you, and you'll start being greeted by the witches. These witches can be killed very easily, but do not let them touch you, because if they do, you will lose all of your gamer points, and you can't get them back. Once you eventually get out of the house and defeat all the witches, they will drop a free perk for you, and all the zombies will begin to attack, and everything's back to normal. There's also this giant maze that they get through with a gazebo at the end. The maze is randomly generated and can be very easy to get lost. The maze will always have a center, however, to get to. In the center, there's a fountain that you can blow up. If you blow up this fountain with a grenade and make Leroy crash into a similar fountain in front of the house, this will activate a portal in the hole. Jumping into it will bring you back to the starting area. Going back to the maze, once you reach the end of this maze, you can enter the gazebo and find a pack-a-punch machine. Be very careful, because this spot is being infamous for being able to be very easily closed in and killed. Once you're done with the area, you can go back to the maze and leave by either A, find the fountain and going through it, or B, going back inside the house and re-entering and get back to the town. Going back inside will cause the witches to return, but you won't get a free perk this time because you already defeated them before. I think this is definitely one of my favorite ways of getting to the pack-a-punch machine. It reminds me a lot about Mob of the Dead and how you have to go to almost separate part of the map just to get your guns upgraded. I like this approach because it makes the adventure of getting them much more worthwhile and even more fun than just walking around like in Dire Eyes and, oh, there it is, it's there. There's no denying when saying that Buried is the best map with the Green Run group. It seems that after Mob of the Dead, the developers have finally found a way to properly flow the map and keep the gameplay consistent. In Trans and Dire Eyes, you always have to stop for something. There'll be something, you have to stop for the bus, you have to stop for the elevators, you have to stop for all this, you have to stop for that. It's stupid, but here in Buried, the only thing that's stopping you is you having to wait for Leroy to smash down barriers, but once they're all open, you can just go wherever you want. There's no more waiting anymore. Incredible, because it teaches everything you need to know, and it doesn't stop you or, make you pause at all. I don't really have much more to say anymore now. Buried is just truly one of a kind. This map is extremely fun to play with friends, or hell, even alone. I go out to say that this is one of the best solo maps in Black Ops 2. I can't really explain why, but when I play by myself in Buried, I find myself having more fun than any other map. This map alone is what makes Black Ops 2 Zombies what it's all about. All the heart and soul of the experiences can be found perfectly here in this small little town buried underground. Alright, let's get to this one. Origins released in the last DLC pack, Apocalypse, and is regarded as one of the best zombies maps in Black Ops 2 and basically zombies history. The sheer amount of stuff you can do with this map is insane. This map really sets up future events by introducing us to brand new characters that aren't really brand new, but they are. I don't really get it. We are reunited finally with the Black Ops 1 gang, but these aren't exactly the gang we got to know and love. There's a whole bunch of lore, and I'm seriously not going to try to explain it, so we're just going to glance over that. The map takes place in June 1918 in France, where we are at a battlefield where Element 115, the thing that created zombies to begin with, has been discovered. You get to trek across this giant battlefield, enter bunkers, underground areas, some buildings, the actual excavation site, and a goddamn alternate dimension where you're chased by Templars. Yeah, this map's really crazy, alright? It's pretty insane. I like to talk about how goddamn realistic everything looks. There's something about this map that just looks so much more better. I don't know what it is, but it looks just so good. The developers took these hellish trenches from World War I and made them even more horrifying with the impaled human bodies, the dirtiness of the sandbags, mud, barbed wire, blood everywhere you go. The immersion you get in this map is unlike anything you've ever seen before. So let's talk about the gimmicks that Origins has to offer, because my god, there is just so much. Let's talk about the thing that everyone plays this map for. The staffs. These are the wonder weapons in this map, and good lord do I love these things. There is the fire, ice, lightning, and wind staffs you can assemble. Each of them take on zombies differently. Obviously they all harness the power of an element, but there's much more to that. The wind staff did exactly what the thunder gun did in Kino to Toad in Black Ops 1, just thrust zombies in a direction. The lightning staff does what the Wunderwaffe did, it shoots bolts of lightning that can be changed from zombie to zombie. The ice staff did what the Winter's Howl did and blast ice in front of you, slowing zombies, eventually cracking them apart. The fire staff is the only staff that isn't like previous Wonder weapons, and it just kind of shoots molten rocks the direction you're facing, clearing a path if hordes are in front of you. All these things can be upgraded to overpowering beings of destruction. It can take a long time, especially if you're all alone, but once you have them, oh boy, is it fun. The mini-boss this time around is the Panzer, and this guy is absolutely the most annoying thing you will ever fight. This armored zombie will run after you and can grab you with a grappling hook and burn you alive with a flamethrower. It can be a little challenging, but you can defeat him with good enough range and plenty of bullets. Once defeated, they will drop a fire staff part after the first defeat. When they show up again, they will just drop a random power-up. I talk about killing zombies in one hit in this segment, but the Panzers will never be killed with one hit by anything. These dudes mean business. Talk about those giant robots, huh? I bet you're wondering why the hell these exist in 1918. I can't safely say exactly what they are, but I know they were assembled to help win the war for whatever team they are for. Regardless, these three robots will walk on a set path occasionally during your game, but be careful because you can get stepped on by them. There's no saving yourself if you do. I mean, they're probably like 30 million tons or something. I mean, Jesus Christ, look how tall they are. They're made out of metal. You can actually enter them if you want to. You actually shoot the bottom of their foot and a hole will open up. Once they step on you, you will actually enter the robot. Inside, you will find a staff part and nothing else other than temporary looking around and being safe in the zombies for a bit. Once your time runs out, you will leave the robot and rejoin the battle. These things are simply incredible to see because the sheer size of them and seeing them march on the battlefield for the first time, it's guaranteed to make you stop and just gaze in the sheer awe. I mean, the absolute size of these lads are insane. Origins holds one of the most powerful melee weapons in zombie history. Your fists. You can achieve the 1-inch punch ability by filling chests around the map with the souls and the undead. It's a one-hit kill up to round 36. That's insane, and it's just your punch. You should have all the pack punch weapons and even an upgraded staff by that point, but it's really good to have. To activate the power in this map, you must turn on 6 generators spread out across the land. Once you've activated a generator, these Templar zombies rise from portals and begin to attack you. They aren't slow and they can be killed pretty faster than normal zombies. Once the generator is fully ready to go, they disappear and power is now available in that region. Once you have all 6 generators, you can go use the pack punch in the middle of the map and go further in the main Easter egg. The generators will be attacked randomly by the Templar zombies. This can be very irritating because it seems like every single time, whenever one of the generators is attacked, it's always on the complete opposite side of the map. So you have to rush your way over there and maybe you'll be lucky enough to just save it in time without having to completely restart it. There isn't anything really crazy to talk about perks in this map except for one thing. The Wonder Fizz. This machine will give you a complete random perk for 2,000 gamer points. This is a really cool thing because remember, you can only have 4 bot perks at a time and they don't go away once you go down. So you can get a perk that you don't want and now you're kind of stuck with it until you die. I mean, it's a great way to get an expensive perk cheaper if luck's on your side when you purchase it. The main reason to buy the Wonder Fizz machine, however, is because there are exclusive perks you can only get from this machine. That includes Widow's Wine, Electric Cherry, Deadshot Daiquiri, and the legend itself, PhD Flopper. It's finally back, but in the dumbest map possible. You're never going to have fall damage in this map, and there's barely any spots for you to jump down to cause an explosion. This map is massive. It's really goddamn massive, and there are a lot of areas that can take a while to get to because you're slowed down by the mud, or just how the map is simply laid out. With all that said, this map is extremely bountiful and things for you to do, as long as your mindset isn't I just feel like seeing how long I can go without tweeting too much. You're guaranteed that fun, alright? There are just so many goals for you to achieve in this game, and, you know, the fun is never ending. From building the staffs to entering a super weird, wacky world, there's just so much to do here, man. You'll always be moving around, getting tasks done by the time you die. This is exactly what Call of Duty Zombies is all about. This is what it should be all about. Just running around, doing things, and having fun, and getting more and more powerful with each round. It's one of the reasons why die rides and transit are not so enjoyable. There's just nothing really to do. But Buried, Mob of the Dead, and now Origins, there's a grand reward. There are things for you to do. There's a clear objective. It's awesome. There is so many things to do. There's something fun for you to do. What a perfect way to end such a legendary game. So one last map before we wrap up the whole zombie section of this video. If you got one of the special versions of Black Ops 2 when released, you were given this bonus DLC that's simply called Nuketown Zombies. It was later available for a $5 download. This map is the original Nuketown map from Black Ops 1, but it takes place after the nuke drops when the match is over. I was very excited when I got to hear about this map. It's very bare bones, but I mean, we're going back to the original Nuketown. I mean, why not? That's awesome. There aren't many major gimmicks to this one. There's no perks available when the match first starts. Shortly, however, it starts, however, you're greeted with an air siren going off and noticing that something's coming on the mushroom cloud. It will land on the map, and this is how perks are introduced and get done. Perks will actually come out of the cloud and is randomized when they actually land. There's only Quick Revive, Speed Cola, Double Tap, Juggernaut, and Pack Punch. The system of how they come out is very interesting, however. If you look at the classic Nuketown sign, you'll notice that the population goes up to 99 and it counts down with each zombie killed. Every 30 or so kills, the big clock above the sign moves its big hand. Once the 99 zombies are killed, it will reset and you will either hear the air siren go off, meaning a perk is coming, or there's a big distorted dong of a bell, meaning that nothing's happening. It's a fun gimmick and isn't as unfair as it sounds. You should have all the perks by like round 15 or so. This map is pretty much the easiest map out there. There's no barriers, they need to be rebuilt, and the only thing that really needs to be opened are the doors and the two houses and you go inside. The weapon choices in the box are pretty basic with no special wonder weapons, so this map is an excellent source of this pretty vanilla zombies gameplay if that's what you want. If you're new to zombies, I would say this map is the best for learning how to survive high rounds of movement. It's the best map to actually learn how to train. Not a whole lot more to say here, but this place has a special place in my heart. It's simple, it's fun, it's enough to satisfy your zombies needs. Black Ops 2 is the first Call of Duty game added different ways of experiencing zombies. You could be like everyone else, play the regular maps, do whatever you need to do, but you can do something different every now and then. Let's go back to Green Run for a bit. I don't know why, but we're going to. If you want to play Town, you can do the regular survival mode, survive as long as you can, but there's other things you can do now. Introduced in Black Ops 2 is Grief. This is available for Town and Farm. In Green Run, and the Borough, just a town part of Buried. And the main cell block area, Mob of the Dead. This is actually a 4v4 experience in Zombie. You aren't necessarily fighting against the other team, you're all fighting against the zombies, but you can't help the other people on the opposite team. Here's how you win. You must outlive the entirety of the other team, so if the opposite team all goes down, you must survive the rest of the round until it's over. You can't shoot the other players, but you can stun them with grenades, you can throw the monkey bobs toward them, giving them all the attention of the zombies. You can push them around and cause them to be messed up where they be. You can even hit them with your knife, causing them to flinch, which can mess up shots to revive the other players. This game mode was critically underrated in my opinion. I don't remember this game mode ever being popular, and that was such a tragedy. We looked up how many people on the map were playing the Grief game mode. It was always an extremely low number, so getting into a match back then was not easy at all. Not only were they not played too much, but people simply never really covered them or talked about them online. This game mode just wasn't very successful, and I wish it was. Grief never returned in anything. I don't ever see it coming back. It's a shame because it actually wasn't really that bad. I remember having a whole lot of fun. The only other game mode they added was in the Vengeance DLC with Buried, and this was a much more bigger flop. This mode is called Turned. It basically goes like this. 4 players spawn into the map as zombies, and you must scramble around to find out where the cure is to turn back into a human. Once you find it, the game begins. The humans must fight the 3 zombies from killing them. Every single round, the human will have a new weapon that is randomly chosen. If the human is killed by the zombie, they will become a zombie, and whoever killed the human becomes a human. So that's how the match basically goes. Whoever's the most points by the end of the timer will win. There's a lot of fun to be had here. It was a quick and fun way to have some fun in Black Ops 2, and unfortunately, people just didn't really give a shit about it, and I didn't really either. The only problem I believe failed was because of the map selection. There was only 2 options for Turned, the diner area in Transit, and the town section in Buried. With only 2 maps to choose from, there aren't really a whole lot of different things to do. Both maps are indeed different, but they're stale, they're open, there's nothing really engaging to do in them. It's just pretty simple, so once you play it a few times, you don't really need to play it again. You kind of gotta have, the experience is all done for you. And playing zombies isn't really that fun. All you can do is run around and just hope to God that you don't get instantly killed by the humans. So the human, whoever the human player is, that's That's the person having the most fun. Those were the only different game modes added to Zombies, and it went to show that people didn't really care for special game modes. Zombies was already a really exciting thing to do when playing Call of Duty games, and people want that raw experience that you can find in Mob of the Dead and Origins. People aren't really looking for an arcade experience with zombies. They want the freedom to do whatever they want and have fun with their friends. If they want to face enemy players, why not just go to multiplayer, go back to the campaign? There aren't really any big reasons to play these game modes. They just aren't really that important or fun. Black Ops 2 simply exploded my love for the whole zombies experience. Trans and Diarize can be considered rough entries with flaws, but you know, they were always the talk of the town and very popular things to play when they came out. And then the legendary editions of Mob of the Dead, Buried, Origins fundamentally changed how zombies will experience for the future. Those 3 maps set the bar for what zombies should be. Black Ops 2 Zombies was so popular that I remember people hating other zombie video games because they weren't like Black Ops 2. A game mode for a video game that was single-handedly changing how people wanted to play a zombies game. That's an insane thing. This version of Zombies will forever be my favorite. It has my favorite maps, my favorite characters, my favorite weapons, just overall the best vibes I ever felt in my life. There's just no defeating this version of me. Nostalgia is one hell of a thing to experience, and this game mode is filled to the brim with it. If you never got to play this when it came out, I'm so sorry for you. I feel so bad for you. You missed out on one of the best experiences in cooperative history. Black Ops 2 had one hell of a run. By the first 24 hours, Black Ops 2 grossed over $500 million, which was the biggest launch of a video game in history until Grand Theft Auto 5 came out less than a year later. By 15 days of it being available, it made over $1 billion. By the time the 1-year anniversary came around, it sold around 25 million copies on all platforms, and that is an incredible number. So how's it looking today financially? Well, you know, you can still buy a copy today digitally, but I doubt anyone's still buying it much nowadays. Reported by the Game World Observer in mid-2020, they shared a quote from the writer, director, and producer of Black Ops 2, stating that by the time Black Ops 2 made $2.75 billion and sold almost 30 million copies by October 2019, making it potentially one of the greatest Call of Duty titles ever sold. That is just a fantastic number and something you don't see nowadays for this franchise, unfortunately. There is no doubt when I said this is one of the most popular Call of Duty games ever created. And the only games that are on that level was Modern Warfare 2 and 3. The current state of Black Ops 2 is unfortunately not a happy story. Like all online games, eventually gets abandoned for moderation and updates by the developers. It's no surprise to see barely anyone plays online anymore, probably because these games are stuck on 2-generation-old consoles. But a few people that are looking for the online experience in multiplayer zombies, it will be unfortunately greeted by the most boring and scummy people in the gaming world. Hackers. The lobbies are always full with hackers who are instantly killing everyone, doing things you aren't supposed to do and just giving everyone a pretty much boring time. Black Ops 2 has always had hackers and mods before, but they weren't not as apparent, as when they were found by players, reports would flood to Treyarch and they would be banned pretty quickly. Black Ops 2 has pretty much just been abandoned now, so it's just a free-for-all. You can do whatever you want there. There's no fun anymore because it's just, oh guys, look, I'm floating over the map and killing everyone instantly. It's like, what's the fun in that? Seriously, what is the actual fun in doing this? The only way you can have real fun with this anymore is by returning to the campaign or having custom games with friends online. The servers are still online, but I doubt they'll be up much more longer. It's such a shame to see this happen to one of my favorite games, but it's always bound to happen when these online games are left online with no developers to keep an eye on it. However, it's not necessarily dead yet on PC. There's currently a fan project online called Plutonium, where you can play Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, and World of War on your PC. It's kept up to date, and the experience is much better than playing the actual Black Ops 2 nowadays. There's no hackers, no modders, and it's still somewhat alive. So if you want that authentic Black Ops 2 experience, hop on over to Plutonium. So where did the Black Ops brand go from here? I wish I could say it went right into the future and brought nothing but prosperity, but that actually is not the case. It didn't crash and burn, but we did not see something like Black Ops 2 ever again. If you were a Snapchat user during April 2015, you may have seen these Snapchat teasers. We would get our answers about these on April 26, 2015, when the world was finally shown the sequel everyone was waiting for. Black Ops 3 was a reality. It showed off what the game would look like, and my god, was it beautiful. The next-gen graphics were unreal, and Zombies was making another comeback, and it's been long overdue. Then the live-action trailer came out, and the hopes for the game started to die down. This is during the era of shooters and generally Call of Duty, where people were getting tired of all the futuristic shooters and wanted more modern era or older era types of games. Not necessarily asking for World War II shooters, but the whole market during this time was filled with nothing but futuristic shooters. Black Ops 3 was no exception, as it took place even further in the future. Black Ops 2 took place in 2025. Black Ops 3 took place in 2065, 40 goddamn years after Black Ops 2. That's a huge jump. I don't think this would be a big problem if it wasn't for the previous title. We have to remember the fact that Advanced Warfare from Raiden Software was released before Black Ops 3. And this was a shift of Call of Duty going towards that futuristic shooter that continued all the way into 2019. So when the consumers were told they would be given another futuristic shooter that was further down the future, it wasn't really looked upon well. Even though it was the long-awaited sequel to Black Ops 2, people just didn't really want it. The multiplayer was looking somewhat rough in the eyes of the players. It looked like your average shooter, but with the huge controversy of futuristic shooters that was bringing down the whole experience players were wanting to have. We didn't know much about the zombies mode until the game actually came out, but we'll talk about that more later. People generally seemed to like the game upon its release, but the reception was not as same as Black Ops 2. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't as good. It was set to be the biggest Call of Duty yet, with next-gen consoles being more popular than the last gen finally, and people on both gen could play the game. Almost. So here's the thing, I didn't get an Xbox One or PS4 until a couple years later, so I was stuck on Xbox 360 for a little while. It was rough to be playing inferior versions of big modern day games, but it's what I had to deal with. I had to draw a line at Black Ops 3, however. They did something that looking back was such an insane move. The developers decided to cut the entire campaign out of the last gen version of the Black Ops 3. It only included the multiplayer and zombies mode. So you'd be paying full price, a full $60 for something that wasn't actually complete. What were they thinking? That wasn't the only problem, however. The last gen versions were also forced to be online only, meaning that if you didn't have a solid internet connection, you could not even play the game at all. So $60 for a game that had to be online 24/7 and didn't even have the multiplayer. Are you serious? This makes no sense, because you can play the multiplayer with AI bots and the zombies can be played entirely solo. So what the hell? This definitely hurt the sales, because when you're cutting out a huge chunk of consumers, like I was, it just got worse. Keep in mind that not everybody had a PS4 and Xbox One during this time. Like, yeah, sure, they were starting to get much more popular and more accessible, but not everyone had one yet. It got worse when I heard what the game actually held. So the campaign barely held any connection to Black Ops 1 and 2, other than a few tiny references. I mean, this was probably expected due to the many routes and endings you could take in Black Ops 2, so I'm not sure exactly how they would handle this for a next mainline sequel, but that alone already hurt my interest in the game. There was no good connections to previous characters, so basically it was just starting all over again. So like, it was just Black Ops 3, but yet the story was not being continued, or at least handled the way I was hoping it would. The campaign itself was bland, not really inspired, and the writing was just super boring. It should have been more, but unfortunately it just wasn't. Most Call of Duty campaigns were extremely boring because of this style of writing. Whenever Black Ops 3 is brought up, it's probably always going to be about the Zombies game mode. Zombies game mode in this game is actually regarded as one of the best versions in Zombies history. The new maps you can experience are pretty damn good. They brought out the best aspects of the main lore, the gameplay was fluid, it was fun, the music was great, and not to mention they brought back all of the famous maps in Zombies Chronicles that people really wanted. It basically brought out the best of everything in the past 3 Zombies game and put them all in full force. If you want the definitive Zombies experience, I guess go play Black Ops 3. The servers are still up and there's not hackers over there, so go ahead. With Black Ops 3 all said and done, the sales are simply going to speak for themselves. Only 6.6 million copies were sold in its first week, and it took over 3 days to reach over $550 million revenue. Definitely a step down from how Black Ops 2 performed for sure. It never won any game awards, even though it was nominated twice. It did sell better than Advanced Warfare, however, so I guess that's a good thing. Black Ops brand now had a trilogy set in stone, and honestly, it didn't need anything else. People thought a third one could have been necessary as Modern Warfare 3 editions, and they were all pretty damn good. The Black Ops trilogy has now been completed. The year is now 2018, and it's Treyarch's time to make a Call of Duty game once more. So what could they do this time? I mean, they could do something new, they could do something exciting, they know exactly what the fans want. Whatever it was, it had to be better than the mid-tier World War II title that was released last time and the insanely clowned upon Infinite Warfare. Treyarch would make the bold decision, and they are going to make Black Ops 4. Yeah, you're seeing that right. They used 4 eyes to make the letter 4, instead of the actual Roman numeral that looks like this. The game is quite simply a joke. Let's just be real here, everybody. When this was announced, the entire internet just looked down upon this. It was at this point that Call of Duty was reaching a point where its games were getting extremely stale, they were not enjoyable anymore. It was even worse with the decision to exclude the campaign in favor of a Battle Royale mode that failed terribly. Everything with this game was just wrong. They were cashing in on the huge trend of battle royales during the time. The multiplayer was full of microtransactions that weren't needed at all. And the zombies mode, I was told, was clunky, uninspired, and the overall story got much more confusing than ever needed to be. I just remember there being no hype for this game at all. And I still had Call of Duty friends. They just did not care at all. It just sank into obscurity. It sold well, however, but I mean, not as well as other games before. What made people mad the most that there's absolutely no relation to the Black Ops name at all. It's called Black Ops 4, but guess what? There's nothing Black Ops about it. It just called Black Ops 4 because, oh, I know Black Ops. That's why it sold well. That's the only reason why it really sold well. Oh, did I mention that this game was huge as shit for your hard drives? That's always a good thing, I guess. Yeah, gamers love having a whole bunch of their space being taken up by one fucking game. Years gone by and Treyarch got their next Call of Duty game, and instead of Black Ops 5, like people were expecting, we actually got Black Ops Cold War. So it's not Black Ops 5 technically. This one's kind of a mixed bag for reception once more. The game did some things alright and some things absolutely wrong. So they did finally include a story, and they actually connected it back to the original Black Ops stories. That's right, it only took them this long. We follow our favorites Alex Mason, Frank Woods, and Hudson all over again. The story takes place during the 1980s again, this time during the Cold War. The story was average as most Call of Duty games go, but it was weird because they didn't have the original voice actors for the characters, so it was just off. The multiplayer and zombies in this game was also extremely average, with zombies being regarded as one of the most boring versions of zombies in history. Yeah, even more boring than goddamn World of War. I didn't actually play Cold War myself. I really wanted to, but I didn't really feel like wasting over 200 gigabytes of storage and $70. My PS5 can only handle so much space, guys. My PC needs the space for more important things, like this dumbass video. I watched gameplay videos and found myself even bored just watching it, so yeah, I didn't really care. Every single game at this point from Call of Duty was just so stale and uninspired. It's still pretty well like most Call of Duty games do, because, you know, the fans just buy anything they sell at this point, even though Activision Blizzard is full of terrible people and should not be supporting them, but more on that later, whatever. The future of the Black Ops brand turned out to be pretty dark, no pun intended. With the games going against what the fans wanted and publishing companies becoming worse and worse as the years came along, all we can do is look back exactly 10 years ago today and see just how lucky we were to get something so legendary like Black Ops 2. It truly did come out at the right place at the right time. The gaming community was nothing but supportive of this game. It was just peak awesomeness. There's no stepping around it. If you were there when this game first came out, it was nothing but the talk of the town. I just don't know what to say at this point. The game is definitely one of the best shooting games ever created. I mean, that's just a fact. From one of the most engaging campaigns I've got to play, to the fun and fast-paced multiplayer that once ruled the world, and some of the best cooperative gameplay I've ever experienced at all, some of the best memories I ever got to have in front of a TV. Black Ops 2 simply just had it all. Will we ever see a game quite like this again? Will Call of Duty finally rise from its ashes and make a game something like this again? Probably not, because Activision just keeps getting worse, but I mean, Microsoft owns it now, so maybe it'll get better? Maybe? I don't know. Probably not. The developers and Treyarch just simply don't care anymore. This is so easy to tell. It's pretty clear to see. Because the people who all made Black Ops 2 special are all pretty much gone or just don't care anymore. We can just keep the hope that somebody will come along and make the game special again. But like most AAA titles, they're just going to be rushed, unfinished, way too big, way too buggy, way too expensive, and it's just not going to be enough to justify this. I really wish I could travel back to the early 2010s where the games were made with actual care. Black Ops 2 is a perfect game to think back on, solely because it was that. It was perfect. Anyways, if you ever have time, just look up some classic Black Ops 2 videos when you can. It was such a good game. There's nothing wrong with some good old juicy nostalgia. Black Ops 2, I love you so much. Thank you so much for existing and making my childhood so damn special. And thank you so much for watching.
When the light is running low and the shadows start to grow, and the places that you know seem like fantasy, there's a light inside your soul that's still shining in the cold, with the truth, the promise in our hearts. Don't forget it. I'm with you in the dark.